on the night of my first breath, in a delivery room at Allegheny County General Hospital, my birth father, whom I will never meet, is asleep on a bus disappearing into the Midwest. His name is Frank Hauser. His jacket is crumpled between the side of his face and the window. It's the 29th of December, winter in western Pennsylvania, but he dreams rain coming down so hard, long strands strike the glass as if to shatter it. My father's hands they're twitching in his lap, and when he looks down, a sparrow is nesting, as if in the crook of a tree. Warmth like joy, it fills my father's body because so delicate a creature has chosen him for safety. He lightly strokes with the tip of a finger the small brown head. The bird begins singing into the darkness of the bus. Its high, sweet trilling travels out among the sleeping passengers, drawing each breath into its praise. My father knows. He is as much this song as anything else in his life. When he looks outside, the rain has subsided into a blazing mist, lit red by the furnaces of steel mills along the river. Upwards, through the blazing mist, black smoke, it rises over the city like the sparrow's notes, rising through my father's hands into the night of this place he is leaving. When he looks down again, his lap is empty. A woman nudges him awake as the bus pulls into the Cleveland terminal. Piles of plowed snow are crusted black beneath the white lights of the empty parking lot. My father stares out the window, trying to remember what he was dreaming. He's asked if he's getting off here. He says, "No, I have much farther to go."
It started with Rodney coming to me and telling me about an idea that he'd had for turning this book of poetry that he just had published into a piece of theater and asking my advice. So I suggested some people that he could go and talk to about it. Mm-hmm. And 6 months later, he came back and said, "Guess what? We're in the Fringe and we're in the Writers Festival and I'd like you to direct this."
I just knew deep down that Jane was the person who could make this happen, because if there's one thing about Jane is, in my humble opinion, is nobody I know understands how to tell a story better than Jane.
So what is this piece? Is it spoken word? Is it theater?
Is it a concert? It's all of the above. 30 years later, I'm sitting at my desk, staring at a printout thumbtacked to the wall. The building in the photograph sags as if it's about to collapse. The brick facade, once painted white, is blackened from traffic exhaust. Swollen tar shingles curl and peel away from the awning above the shop windows. Alongside the building runs the shattered alley that leads to the garage and the apartment above. Stuccoed walls are cracked and water-stained. Sheets of plywood, nailed up and painted over, patch the spots where chunks of plaster have given way. The once bright red letters of the Cooper's Tire sign are a smeared and washed out pink. I lean back in my chair, shut my eyes. Weeds overtake the alley's broken asphalt. Springs, advanced troops reclaiming ground. Across the highway, engorged with melted snow, the Allegheny River surges towards Pittsburgh's trinity of waters. As fireflies begin to spark the darkening air, like small, brief stars.
It was very interesting watching the audiences come in to see this play at the Vancouver Fringe, because there were people who came in expecting a piece of theater, whatever that means. There were people coming in who were fans of Rodney, so they were used to his music, they were used to his poetry, but they didn't know what they were going to get either. And then in the middle is this piece that is a hybrid that goes further in some ways than any of the expectations that people came in with.
It comes alive. The audience is as much a participant in the show as Mark's bass or myself or Mark. After school, my mother sits us down on the couch. "Have you boys heard of the band Kiss?" No, we say, never heard of them. I want you to promise me, if your friends ever play Kiss music while you're visiting, you'll come straight home. How come? My brother Chris asked. Because Pastor Rosio told us today in Bible study that KISS stands for Knights in Satan's Service. My brothers and I, we don't dare look at each other. We stare straight at the floor. Oh, if we hadn't been interested in KISS before, we are now suddenly very interested in KISS. We promise we won't ever listen to them. And then we're straight out the door and straight to Billy McNally's house. We know he has the new KISS record. We tell him what our mom had told us. He leads us into his bedroom and locks the door. He reverently slides the record out of the sleeve, gently places it on the turntable, and drops the needle. Detroit Rock City blares through the Kmart speakers and shakes the room. When I look at my brother Lynn, his eyes are huge. We're going straight to hell, he says. I don't think I've ever seen anyone in my life so excited about going to hell.
It's very hard to hold on to an audience in this day and age. I mean, there's so much out there. You can stay home and access the whole world. So I think those of us who are working in theater or live performance have to rethink what it is that we can do that nobody else can do. Mm-hmm. And I think this piece does it, because there is an element of this show of watching, a trapeze artist without a net. And I think that audiences come to the theater because they want that sense of rawness.
It's funny, when I was a young man, I loved Ernest Hemingway. And he's a bit more problematic for me now at 46. But his style, the way he approached language. And I realized early on that when writing poetry, the goal was to give the listener enough information that they are free to create the world for themselves. And so my poetry reflects that belief. And so it's sparse, compressed, focused. But I don't want to tell you too much. I will give you just enough that you can experience the poem and create the poem yourself. And I think this play embodies that. Yeah. It's the same approach.
I stand at the razor's edge as these lights burn through my head. And despite every word I've said, I praise this spinning wheel. And all shall be revealed, and all shall be healed, and every single cup shall be filled. And I pray